Hello, and welcome to a minisode of My Streaming Bubble, the podcast where I talk about the streamable media I love with people I tolerate. Usually. I am your TV watching and talking host, Jen, and today's mini bubble is the last of this month's theme of Rom-Coms I Fell For. And today, for the final episode, I will be getting all lovey-dovey with one that I was oddly obsessed with when I was a child. And it was actually my first introduction to Patrick Dempsey. I'd never seen an episode of Grey's Anatomy. That's been true the last time I mentioned it, whenever that was, and it's still true now. But yowza, that glow up. Whoo! So today I am going to be talking about the 80s rom-com classic, Can't Buy Me Love. So, but a little bit of a change for today's minisode. I've decided to go ahead and end this month with watch, react, and review because I haven't seen this movie in literal years. So I thought it might be a little entertaining since I know there are parts like almost the whole movie that likely didn't age well. And that could be kind of funny, getting my cringe-filled reactions. Right? You guys would like that, right? It could be, okay, we'll find out. Let's see, before I hit play on this movie, just a spoiler warning for anyone that is listening to this that hasn't listened to past watch and react review episodes. I'm going to sit, watch the movie, provide my own commentary throughout. The episode will be edited down, so it's not going to be like I'm actually, like you can listen to it and actually like watch along because, like I said, there'll be chunks edited out where I'm not speaking. Since this movie is named after a Beatles song, I probably won't be able to play the music or sing along without getting slapped with like, don't do that. But you know what? The president is a fucking 34-time convicted felon. I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want. Yep. So I'm going to watch the movie, provide my reactions and everything. And then at the end, I'll go ahead and do all the IMDb synopsis credits and information, and just kind of give my overall general thoughts on revisiting this movie. So with all of that said, I'm going to go ahead and hit play on this. I can tell you that this movie is currently free on Tubi. So there's probably going to be really oddly placed ad breaks, but yeah, it is what it is. No big deal. So, all right. And away we go. Oh, and content warnings for a movie made in the 80s. I don't remember if I mentioned that. So, oops. Oh, this movie. Yeah. So this is kind of one of those classic rom-coms where you've got the nerd wanting to be popular and well-liked. If I remember correctly, this is like their senior year. So kind of want to like end the year on a bang and not be, quote, like a loser and stuff. So Patrick Dempsey's character enlists the the services of the popular high school girl to pretend like they're dating so he can gain popularity. Because he's like, well, since I'm within orbit of you, this plan is totally going to work. I just saw Paula Abdul's name on the credits. What? Oh my God. Did she choreograph the fucking dance at the end? The anteater mating ritual thing or whatever it was? Oh my God. I love that so much. Please let that be true. Only the Neiman Marcus card, Cindy. Oh, yep. They're a senior now. And why can't you be a good girl like the nerdy lawnmower kid? Mother, get serious. Oh my God. The quintessential 80s teenage girl's bedroom. Bobby's on. That's right. Cindy's college boyfriend, Bobby. Another reason why I liked this movie was because Bobby went to go play football for Iowa, University of Iowa, go Hawks. And that's where I grew up. So it was kind of like a nice little shout out that, especially in like the 80s, Iowa was never mentioned. Well, I take that back. 80s, mid 90s, if Iowa was mentioned, it was usually having to do with the wrestling team because we had a really good wrestling team. Like we were even name dropped in an episode of Saved by the Bell when a college recruiter came to check out AC Slater or whatever. And he's like, whoa, he's from Iowa. They got a great wrestling team, blibbity blue. So that's the Iowa Hawkeye shout outs of yesteryear. Oh, this cheer routine, I bet this is something Paula Abdul choreographed. Senior boys lusting after freshman girls, because of course. Oh, yes. And then Ronald's bestie, who is perfectly comfortable with being a nerd that gets left behind and treated like shit when Ronald, or Ronnie, I think they changed, like he goes by when he gets popular. But yeah, Ronnie leaves him in the dust. Right, because high school kids could totally afford sports cars, like in mint condition. These movies really set up like this false sense of what high school was going to be like. Because none of the things in the 80s movies happened in real life, except for the bullying. The bullying happened. So let's see, going through some IMDb trivia while things get going in this movie. Amanda Peterson, who plays Cindy, was 15 years old during filming, and Patrick Dempsey was 20 years old. Okay, so we are with Cindy. She's at her house. Door knocks. It's her mom's date. This really sleazy, greasy looking motherfucker, Rock, I guess what his name was, according to the captions. But Cindy answers the door. She's got like a swimsuit on, but like a button-up shirt over it, and he's ogling her. And even though she's supposed to be playing like 17 or 18, she's 15 in real life. Gross. All right. Another bit of IMDb trivia that I had no idea. But after her death in July 2015, Amanda Peterson's family revealed that a traumatizing experience on the set of Can't Buy Me Love contributed to issues Peterson later faced, including an addiction to drugs that ultimately ended her acting career. Peterson died of an accidental morphine overdose in July 2015 at the age of 43. That's so fucking sad. I had no idea, and I'm really, really concerned as to what was the traumatizing experience that she had. It's like, I have kind of an idea, but I don't know for sure. Ronald's mom just said, "Not at the table, please," and he was reading a book. So that just goes to show you that no matter what year, what generation, and what devices and what have you, handheld whatevers, is always going to be an issue, because dude had a book and mom was like, "Not reading at the table." And I understand, family time and whatever at the dinner table, but it was a book. Oh. He didn't use the R word. He used the abbreviated version of the R word just now. Cards with the So, yeah, content warning for an 80s movie. It's only wine. It's red wine on suede. This is Ronald's chance to buy himself a girlfriend. Want to rent you? Like, this should tell people, like, how terrifying parents were in the 80s, where she chose basically prostitution over telling her mom the truth. Sorry. Ronald being like, oh, I got to walk the cool hallway for the first time ever. And Cindy being like, I have to hold the press conference. Oh my God. Yeah, take off the beret. Because he does have amazing hair. It always drove me nuts that there was still a little bit of mousse left in his hair and on her hands. Should I put my collar up? Oh, and of course, because Ronald started the movie off in glasses, part of his glow up here is taking off the glasses. And I forgot the one jock dude wears like cut off tank tops, like midriff tank tops. And then the one friend of Cindy's, and she's just got like these lines on her face. They kind of match like the pattern of the scarf in her hair. Really taking the matchy-matchy to a whole new level. And now Ronnie is sitting all like a cool kid in his class with his fellow nerds and his nerd bestie who shows up to school in a button-down and a tie. Oh, here goes the press conference in home ec.
What were you doing with the lawn boy?
And it begins. How bad could he be? He's with Cindy after all. I will say that was actually very considerate of Big John to fart out the window and not just crop dust the party. And now Ronnie's showing up to school in jeans, a big old like rodeo belt, buckle, vest, and plaid shirt. And you know what? He's killing it. And now Ronnie is washing Cindy's car, and he's no longer wearing the vest. And his blue plaid picnic table shirt is unbuttoned. So, like, even though Patrick Dempsey in the 80s could pull off the nerd look, air quotes, nerd look, right? Because it's a movie, so they have to cast, like, the hottest nerd looking dude. But yeah. His shirt's open. He's sweaty. A little damp from washing the car. Gee, I wonder why I was obsessed with this movie. But now their friendship, Ronnie and Cindy's friendship, is starting to blossom. She just went into her room to grab some sheets of paper that were hidden in a bookcase behind a bunch of other stuff because writing poetry is like a great deep shame that you must hide from your friends and family, apparently. Now his shirt is just completely off. Oh, and there she goes, spraying him with the hose. And I don't think I've ever noticed before, but she sprayed him right in the crotch. Hold the goddamn phone. Hold on a second. So right now they're at the airplane graveyard on like their last date. He's got the telescope and everything, and they're going to have like a nice little moment as their friendship and romance continues to blossom. But I was just going through the IMDb trivia, and I am just now learning that the guy that plays Ricky, one of the jocks, is Gerardo Mejia, Mejia. And he goes on to be Rico Suave? What the fuck? Am I insane? Why am I just learning about this? What? Sure the shit is. Okay. I'm fucking speechless. My flabbers are gasted because I had no idea. I just blew my own mind. Goddamn. Oh, yeah. Now they have to get ready for their breakup. And Cindy's falling for Ronnie. And Ronnie is just still treating it like a business transaction. He's like, oh, we got to talk about how we're going to handle the breakup. Should it be a great big fight? And she's like, oh, God, yes, of course. I forgot all about it. And just, poor girl. And him just reveling in being a popular guy with a reputation. So it's like, even though he did like have a legit crush on her, he still didn't take this opportunity to like, I don't know, like take advantage of their time together to actually try and build a relationship with her. He was more interested in building a relationship with the popular kids and building his reputation than he was about anyone else's feelings. But he's popular now, so you can't think of other people's feelings and be considerate of that. And you have to just be selfish and a piece of shit. It's such a tough life being popular, and you have to work at it, and it's like having a job. And that does sound really fucking exhausting. I always liked how he's like, oh, me change? I would never do that. Not sweet, innocent little Ronald. And then the next scene, he comes busting through the door, going down the cool hallway in like the worst outfit. Oh yeah, now Cindy's friends are all lusting after him, and Cindy's disgusted. Now she's kind of like on the outside of the popular circle and seeing from that perspective just how like kind of gross it is and how they're all just sheep. Which I think she calls them that at the end when she's all drunk at the party and she outs herself and Ronald. Or am I thinking of Can't Hardly Wait? Because I know no character does it in that one when she's cutting shit up. You are all sheep. Meh. And then he comes pulling up in his dad's station wagon, but he's got the cardboard covering the logo for the tic-tac-toe car wash or whatever it is. And now he's trying to play it all cool. Yeah, station wagons are not dorky nerd parent cars. No, they are shaggin' wagons, god damn it. Oh, yes. And of course, I can't believe I'm only just now mentioning it, but Ronnie's little brother being played by Seth Green. Oh my God, he's just, he's kind of always been like that, huh? His hair's all slicked back. I don't like his hair slicked back. Oh, the dance scene is coming up soon. I love it. Ad break. Oh, and what 80s movie isn't complete without a locker room scene in the girls' locker room? This, quote, dance that he's learning. African anteater ritual. That's what it was. And here he goes with the African anteater ritual. And then whichever friend he's with, I can't remember if it's Patsy or Barb, the one that like draws on her face. He, even she seems very like, ugh. But to save her own ass, she gets into it, right? And it's like, oh, well, if Ronnie's doing it, it has to be cool. And then some random girls one of them called him a spaz. The other one said he must be in special ed. So ableism. Yep, we'll go with that. But like, this is how trends start, right? Like, this is really no different than any kind of dance trend on TikTok. Someone starts it and then everyone recreates it their own little way. It's the same. Like, I bet someone could go onto TikTok, do the African anteater ritual as a dance trend, and only a certain demographic will understand the reference. But that would be fucking hilarious. So yeah, now the two girls that were suggesting that maybe he had some sort of developmental disability are also now dancing. And then all the nerds, Ronnie's nerd friends, recognize it right away as the African anteater ritual. And I just want to have that moment where Gen X, elder millennials, etc., can have the moment of going on TikTok and just pointing and laughing like Kenneth and the guys.
Reach out and touch someone.
He's in the car with the one friend that draws on her face. She's like, are you into long distance relationships? Then why don't you reach out and touch somebody? And that was a slogan. That was a real slogan for a phone company or something like that, if I recall correctly. Oh my God. Ew, and his little brother was in the back of the station wagon. I forgot. Oh, this is when he shits on Kenneth's house. And then I always remember like when this movie was on like regular TV, when Ronnie goes to confront Kenneth about it, or not confront, but like to apologize at the pizza place or whatever. And Ronnie or Kenneth is playing video games and he's just like, you hit on my house. Because it was edited. He couldn't say shit on my house. So for some reason, that always just stands out of that editing. I don't know why. So dumb. And you know, the fact that like Kenneth's family is all getting prepared for Halloween shenanigans. It is Halloween, right? That's why they're going out and like egging stuff. I don't remember. But if it's Halloween and Kenneth's little brother chooses to stay home and try and catch these vandals, like that's some nice quality family time. Oh, yep, there's Halloween decorations up. But it must not be actually Halloween night because no one else is trick-or-treating. Unless it's just like super duper late. Ronnie is a bad friend. He doesn't want to do it. He shouldn't do it. He shouldn't feel he has to do it to prove himself to these assholes. And the fact that they're like using his name instead of like code names or anything like that. Easily could have figured it out. I'd be so fucking pissed off if I was Kenneth. So gross. Oh, so it's like Christmas time and there's Christmas decorations up and one of the lockers had like red wrapping paper on it or ribbon to make it look like a package or whatever, you know, like the kind of cross style when you wrap a ribbon around a box. Anyway, a few lockers down there is one that was blue with the white Star of David. So I just thought that was, I've never noticed that before. And that is that's nice. They got something right in this. But we're at ad breaks now. I'm on 2 of 7. But yeah, so far this movie is pretty much exactly how I remember it. And, you know, I guess I've always kind of liked too what it sort of kind of tries to say about popularity, power, corruption, versus being a good person and a nerd. But yeah, we are to the point of the movie now where Ronnie's getting ready to throw his big Christmas party or New Year's party, whichever. And Cindy approached him and she's like, hey, like, you know, she's trying to make amends. She wants to maybe like hang out with her friend or her crush. She's like, oh, you know, I wrote a new poem and it's for you. And Ronnie's just being a dick. He's like, well, you didn't want anything to do with the Donald Miller and now you want to ride the Ronnie Miller Express. She's like, I don't want to ride the Ronnie Miller anything. And he's like, it looks like you're the only one. I'm looking at Iris, who is a player, you know, getting her notches. And yeah, Cindy's just like, oh, Iris, yeah, what a real conquest. She's given more rides than Greyhound. Burn. But then he's just like, oh, you're not the only one, or you're the only one, and her ticket won't cost me $1,000. Like, dude, that was completely unnecessary because that was your fucking choice. In fact, you basically demanded it. So this person, this Ronnie versus Ronald, not a great guy. You know, he's just getting a little too big for his britches. And the fall of Ronnie Miller continues. Well, it's coming up. New Year's. Cindy, that's straight vodka. Yum. Not really. Not unless it's ice cold. I will say, while not like a huge character arc improvement by any means, but Cindy admitting that she just asked her mom to borrow the outfit instead of sneaking it out. Like, that's shows respect for her mom at this point. And that's nice. That's nice to see her have a bit of progression. And now we see Ronnie degress, de-evolve. Yeah, and then Ronnie using Cindy's poem to woo Iris, and Cindy seeing it. Oh, here we go. And now Bobby has showed up to the party in his Iowa jacket. Go Hawks! Now, there was always something about Bobby's voice that, I don't know, it always seemed like it was dubbed in. And I have no idea if that's actually true or not. Oh, in the world, type of girl. I should probably be careful with that too. I don't know if I don't know what I can and can't sing. And the truth comes out. Now, everyone is so disgusted by that. And I was like, no way. I always loved her very drunk. And I was like, no way. Ronald gets kicked out of the party. He's all alone. He sees everyone at his house doing the African anteater ritual because that's how much influence he ended up having. To the point now where his fall from grace comes crashing down into a tool shed, sleeping on a burlap sack. And we feel so bad for Ronald, don't we? But, it's like all the classmates acted like, what he did was so terrible. Like the worst thing ever, to pay someone to hang out with them. And, maybe not like the best thing to do. It's not any worse than throwing shit onto someone's house and egging their house. And I always kind of thought it was more of like a reflection on them, on how they got by Ronald Miller. Now Cindy's feeling kind of bad for telling the truth. And even now, like the quote, like weirdos, the mutants, they say. But yeah, no one wants anything to do with him. Like, he thought he was a social leper before, but so much worse. Moral leper. And it's like, oh my gosh, even the plus size students are making fun of him. And her going up to him being like, you could have had me for $50. Like, girl, don't sell yourself short. Cindy calling out her friends as they make fun of Ronald and his station wagon. Good for her. Don't let them forget that shit. And now Ronald's back to wearing like nerdier clothes, like his shirt's tucked in, button-up shirt, like an undershirt on. Now it's time for Ronald's bathroom confession to Cindy, trying to save his ass any way he can. So it was noted in the IMDb trivia that in that scene where Ronnie is confessing and apologizing or whatever to Cindy, that the teacher that busts him, did not wash her hands after she came out of the stall and before she grabbed Ronald's ear. Ew. Oh, but see, now he's back in his blue plaid shirt unbuttoned and with his glasses back on. Oh, that's loud. We are at another ad break. And now this big impassioned plea from Ronald to Cindy about how along the way he lost the plot. He's just trying, he's grasping at straws to make amends with anybody that he can. Be it Kenneth or Cindy, really. Those are kind of the only two people. But he does a pretty good job at getting through to Cindy. Oh my God, that's right. Ronald gets his slow clap moment. I don't think the slow clap is utilized nearly enough anymore. Like the slow clap like meant something. Like I don't know. It's just I miss it. See, and then you have Quint, that's still very much about the division of class. And even his buddies were just like, leave Kenneth alone. Like, so even they've kind of toned it down a little bit, but they're still not man enough to stand up to Quint. But look who is. It's Ronald, in case, didn't catch on to that. Triumphant music after he takes the baseball bat to the table. Patty, she's the one that writes on her face. And now he fucks off to who knows where, leaving everyone to sit with that speech. And now Quentin is shaking hands with Kenneth, and Big John starts the slow clap, because of course the slow clap has to be started by someone popular. And it being Big John, one of the guys, means something, right? Because it's still the popular kids that more or less rule and control the school. But Ronald's big speech kind of helps level the playing field a wee bit. Just kind of reminds everyone that, like, they're all just trying to get through, like, high school, even though they're, like, in their 20s, except for Cindy. And life is fucking hard enough. What happened? They all used to be friends and then just not anymore. So it's kind of like when that moment happened, like the lesson, the very special episode kind of moment kicks in and we all are supposed to learn a little something. Just the trials and tribulations of high school and popularity and nerddom. So, of course, I have to hit my microphone stand. Now we're back to Ronald being the lawn boy. He's back in wearing the same t-shirt he was wearing when the movie started, indicating his nerdness, minus the glasses. So he has some coolness to him, but his shirt's still tucked in. The popular kids are now at least acknowledging his existence and saying hi to him, because they bought into it all, hook, line, and sinker. And Cindy was right. They were all just going to follow him blindly because she was like, no way my friends would do that. No way these people would do that. They're better than that or more strong-minded. And clearly they aren't. They're in high school. Oh, and here goes Cindy, affectionately calling him Donald because she kept getting his name wrong in the beginning. And they ride off into the sunset on his lawnmower. And the end. Oh, and they're smooching. And now it's like, yeah, it's sunset. It wasn't sunset a second ago. It was like very bright and sunny. It's fine. It doesn't matter. It's a movie. So, oh my gosh. That was kind of fun to revisit. And, I'll be honest, it wasn't as terrible and cringy in terms of an 80s movie and what is not okay these days. So yeah, I still love this movie. It's still so dumb, so dorky, but this was a hoot. All right. Well, wasn't that just a delightful trip down memory lane for me? Maybe for you as well. Hopefully for you. Anywho, so here is all of the end of watch summary and IMDb information. What IMDb says about this, it says, an outcast secretly pays the most popular girl in school $1,000 to pretend to be his girlfriend for a month. What I says about this movie, I guess I don't really have an I says. This is just, it is what it is. And yeah, money can't buy you love, and it can't even really buy you popularity or respect, but it can buy you a facade, I guess. It can help by being a faker, big old faker. Anyway, that wasn't very good. I apologize. All right, this movie was directed by Steve Rash and was written by Michael Swerdick. And it stars Patrick Dempsey, Amanda Peterson, Courtney Gaines, Seth Green, Tina Caspary, Darcy DeMoss, Eric Bruscotter, Gerardo Mejia, Court McCrone, and more. Let's see. And yes, you can watch this for free on Tubi. You can watch, you can rent or buy from various streamers. And I didn't actually look to see if this was available through the library. So I'm gonna guess it is. Okay. So yes, it is available for free from your local library. Probably because it's at our library and I live in a small town. Now, my initial thoughts on this movie, aside from it just being like a classic movie from my childhood and being a little too obsessed with it, and not having watched it probably since like my teens, I'd have to say that considering when this movie came out, and there are trigger warnings, content warnings of like ableism, slut shaming, classism, bullying, etc. There wasn't any like overt homophobia. And when I say like overt, like obvious, like no slurs and like violence towards an LGBTQIA character. But I could be mistaken. But hopefully I'm not, because that would actually be quite surprising for an 80s movie. So with this movie, I've always loved it. I always thought, as a kid, thought it was just kind of more or less like a sweet-ish love story kind of thing, or just, I don't know. I was a dumb kid, so I was not a smart child, as I have said previously. But there was just always something about this movie that I really always loved. Watching it now as an adult, obviously the issues with Ronald taking advantage of Cindy's dire situation is incorrect, problematic at best. But I also thought that watching it now, and even a little bit when I was a kid, and maybe not being able to articulate it as well / poorly as I do now as an adult, because words are hard. This movie is clearly like has a few things to say about like classism, following without question, popularity, like what's the draw to being popular if it's all this work, and if the people can turn on you on a dime. Like, what was it about being popular that was such a big fucking deal? And is it still like a really big fucking deal for like high school students and maybe even young adults? I could see it still being a thing for high school students because they're young and figuring it out more so than any other age group. There might be some sort of like comfort in being with the popular kids, being part of the popular crowd. You kind of have like a built-in group to sort of kind of get your back. But these popular kids in this movie do not seem like the type of people I would want to have my back at any point. So it's just kind of interesting now to watch these. And, and even then to be like, why do you want to be a part of that group? These are terrible people. Kids, I understand that they're kids and kids are gonna be somewhat terrible, especially when you're like the popular group and you can get away with whatever the fuck you want. But it's just so interesting that in high school, especially in the 80s, obviously I can't speak for now, that we see these popular kids, we think that pretending to be someone else to get in their good graces is going to help us, perhaps socially, but yeah, not like morally, not teach you to be yourself and to be accepted for yourself. And so that's truly what this movie is about. And I feel like that was a lot of the message in the 80s. You kind of, with Revenge of the Nerds, we saw kind of the rise of nerddom and the nerds, at the end of that movie standing up for themselves, slow clap speeches and all. And more or less, it's okay to be a nerd. Just be who you are, be comfortable in who you are. All these jock types, all these popular groups and all these movies from that time are all assholes. Like they're more or less the villains in these high school movies. So it's this really interesting dynamic, I guess, between being comfortable in who you are in your nerd skin while also pining for the life of being popular and well-liked and well-respected. But for superficial reasons, instead of just being like, yeah, I'm into astronomy, I mean, and that's super cool. Or being like, yeah, I like to write poetry. It helps me. It's cathartic. It's a creative release, etc., etc. But Cindy feels the need to hide that because it's nerdy. What's wrong with that? It's the idea of what was cool and what was nerdy in the 80s and like 90s. So fucking wild. And I actually love that we are in a time now where there's been a bigger push to like what you like, don't yuck someone's yum kind of thing. You like what you like. You don't like what you don't like. Just don't be a dick about it. You can have fun, friendly, a little heated debates, conversations, a little bit of arguing about which is the better Star Wars movie or trilogy set, etc., etc., when it comes to personal preferences. But to just straight up just be like, well, you suck if you don't like this, and to like truly mean it, like that's not nice. So I like that we, in that sense, have become more accepting of what people are into between, video games, Funko Pops, Legos, astronomy, astrology, woo-woo stuff. Like, people are a lot more free to like what they like and do what they like and not feel so much of that pressure. And maybe my interpretation, my perception of that is incorrect as a middle-aged woman. It could just be maybe because I have become more comfortable in my own skin and my own likes that I can say that. And that may not resonate with everybody, even, from any age group. But I do like to think that there is slightly less of a stigma about being nerdy, geeky, dorky, whatever. And that, really the popular kids don't have it all themselves. It's also kind of interesting to see the lengths a person will go to be popular, to be seen as something more than who they are or how people already see them and judge them. I'm not saying what Ronald did was right, but what does that say about our social class that he is so desperate to be popular that he has to buy somebody? Like, that thought even comes into his head. And what does that say about parenting, that she is so terrified that she ruined her mom's suede dress, which was actually, especially for the 80s and being in Arizona, that was a very nice outfit. Even by today's standards, I think that was a really nice outfit. But for her to be so terrified that she agrees to this instead of just being honest. And I wonder if she was ever honest with her mom then, or she just bought the outfit and replaced it. I suppose that's exactly what happened. Duh. Jesus Christ. Like, I didn't just watch the fucking movie. But yeah, what does that say about us? Where we put so much pressure on everyone to be something that they have to go and resort to buying somebody. It's kind of messed up, right? And then just the pressures of being popular, staying popular, well-liked. Like Cindy said, it's a job. It's a job for her. Her wearing that outfit was her attempt to impress everybody and to maintain her standings. And it's like, oh, boo, that's such a tough life. But when you think about it, as teenagers, when you're just like chock full of like hormones, emotions, wanting to do what's right versus wanting to do what might just like save your own ass, that's got to be pretty damn conflicting. So I kind of get it. I mean, not because I've ever been like popular by any means, but just that peer pressure and maintaining your social standing, and also acknowledging that your social standing is so high that, yeah, you can just start being seen with a geeky person and all of a sudden that person becomes popular. And then that also just kind of goes with the whole following without questioning. Oh, well, he's with Cindy, so he can't be that bad. You know, at first they give him a bit of shit. And they're like, no, it's fine. And they slowly start to accept him. And then without question, like, what is he doing here? Why are you like, they try and ask her and like, yeah, she's been sworn to secrecy. But yeah, she isn't honest with her friends. And honestly, her friends are kind of trash because instead of being there for their friend for a very public, quote, breakup, they just look at it as their opportunity to ride the Ronald Miller Express. Because for them, it's not about their loyalty to Cindy. It's about how can they continue their social standings. Well, now they got to get with the most popular guy, right? So, yeah, her friends kind of suck. And then that's the other thing. Like, these are her friends. These are her best friends. And they just wait their turn to have Ronald to get with Ronnie. And then when the breakup does happen and they go back to like talking shit about him, and Cindy's like, oh, it's funny. I know a couple of girls that got really comfortable in the back of that station wagon. And they're just like, huh? What? Like, no acknowledgement, just looking off in the distance like, oh, who? That person over there? Yeah, okay, sure. Like what the fuck? Admit y'all got, all right? This movie fucking cracks me up. And one other thing I do want to mention is, okay, so in the beginning, how he longs for Cindy, he pines for her, he's crushing on her, this and that. He sees an opportunity to finally like kind of get to know her, get close to her. And of course, uses that just to gain popularity. The issue I have is that at the end, when he finally has that chance to talk to her and kind of apologize and confess that he fucked up, he's telling her like, oh, all I've ever wanted was to get close to you. I've always liked you, this and that. But it's like, dude, you saw your opportunity and you immediately took that as a chance to become popular and not as a chance to in any way really get close to her. They kind of have those moments where it just almost accidentally happens. He decides he's going to help wash her car as a kindness because she's helping him out and everything. And she shares her poems and he's like, oh, thank you for trusting me with this. And it seems super sincere. But of course, he's an opportunistic individual. He saw an opportunity to improve his standings at high school when Cindy was in dire need. And he took her poem and recited it to Iris to gain that opportunity to get some bathroom nookie. So is Ronald a good guy? Was he ever a good guy? You know, it's like maybe he was always kind of like that dick that he became, but because he was just wrapped up in nerd packaging and had nerd friends, he couldn't unleash his asshole side. Anyway, the point is that he clearly had ample opportunity to actually get to know her and try to woo her and try to flirt with her. Everything starts off as just like a friendship. She slowly starts to fall for him, but that isn't necessarily reciprocated. You know, he has lost the plot. He has forgotten how much he does actually really like Cindy, and becoming popular has become the main goal versus just genuinely falling for someone and having them genuinely fall for you. But watching it now, that does kind of bother me because now I just feel like his kind of apology at the end there was just a bunch of bullshit. And, you know, poor Cindy, it seems like she's got a bit of guilt for everything that went down at the New Year's Eve party and how she outed him and everything, but whatever. All right, let's see. And then, yeah, what was the point? So if he lost the plot and he only really wanted to gain popularity, okay, we'll stick with that. I can understand negotiating a Saturday night date, right, to keep up the facade. But then he takes her to the airplane graveyard and not someplace public where he would be seen with her. So this is one moment that does perhaps seem a bit more on the sincere side for Ronald, of sharing one of his interests with her and then bringing the telescope and looking at the stars and all of that. But it didn't seem like he was doing that to be romantic. It just genuinely seemed like he was just trying to show a friend something. But then again, it's like, I don't know. This man confuses me, but it's all right because he has his shirt off a few times, so that's fine. But it was just, I don't know, because it truly just seems like all he's ever cared about was being popular with a possible bonus of getting to know Cindy. So the whole airplane graveyard, because that's when she kind of starts falling for him, but then he's more concerned about like, okay, how are we going to do this? How are we going to break up? Ooh, yippee, I have a reputation. This dude. I still really like this movie though. This one does have a lot of nostalgia for me. It is really interesting to go back and revisit these movies from my childhood, especially since I haven't seen them since my childhood. Revisiting 80s movies is always a bit of a, how's this going to go between just having been made in the 80s and all the problematic issues that should not have been tolerated, but were. But even with all of that, and even though this one wasn't as bad as I thought it could have been or was going to be, like this is still, I still really, really enjoy this one. And I don't know if I could ever truly hate it. I'm fine with seeing the more problematic issues more clearly than I did when I was a kid. And that's kind of it. Like I accept that this premise is kind of fucked. But, you know, it's almost like, you know, I mean, again, rom-coms aren't my top genre. So I don't know what all the different scenarios these couples to be are put into and how questionable they may be off the bat. Because I feel like that's kind of a trope, right? Like the pretending to date, pretending to be into each other, two people from different worlds and all of that is relatively common, right? Like that's all the Hallmark Lifetime Christmas movies. You got two people from different worlds, whether they've known each other since they were kids or not. That's how they end up. Or that's how they start and then they end up together. Whereas, you know, that seems fine, like small town, big city girl goes back home, falls in love with old high school crush who isn't as like businessy and successful as the husband or boyfriend back home or the ex or whatever. Which, that is what it is. That's fine. I have less of an issue with that as I get older and I have less fucks to give. And the only issue I have is just that they're romantic comedies. I don't have a problem with the whole like big city person, small town person, and they fall in love. Whatever. People love that. People love their angst. So let them have it. Here, it works for me. Again, probably just because of how long I've known this movie. Anyway, I feel like I'm just kind of rambling and shit. So I'm going to just add one last thing about Iris. There is some slut shaming with Iris and even with some of like Cindy's friends, kind of. But I will say that like with Iris, that when they're at the New Year's Eve party and Ronald is hooking up with Iris and they're all over each other and everything. And Bobby comes home and he's like, oh, who's Iris's latest victim? I like that it was phrased like that. And I get it was done for the movie for the purpose of who Ronald has become. But I just like this idea that Iris was just as much of a player as the fellas and that the guys recognize that, she's not victimizing someone in this situation. Someone else is victimizing her, which is an issue in of itself. But don't hate the player, hate the game. All right. So hats off to Iris for being sex positive, knowing what she wants, getting it, not giving a shit, even though she might not be like a great conquest, as Cindy had put it. Good on ya for going out there and getting what you want, how you want it, with whomever you want in the 80s, because that was like a man's game, right? Like you can always slut shame a woman, but for some reason you can never slut shame a man. So the way that they kind of flipped it here, again, I understand it's for the purpose of, it's not for the representation of proud, slutty girls and women. It was for the purpose of Ronald's character and to kind of show like what a piece of shit he's become. But I still appreciate it. Go Iris. All right, that's going to do it for me. Oh, God, one more thing. I am so fucking sorry, but I did double check the IMDb cast and crew. And yes, Paula Abdul did do the choreography for this movie. And now it makes me wonder how many other 80s movies, maybe 90s movies as well, did she do choreography for? Because I think she did like everyone's choreography for like a decade and a half. But she's Paula, so she can do that, and it's fine. And it's actually quite the honor. All right, now I'm done. So I'm going to shut up. Thank you all so much for listening today and for this month of Rom-Coms I Fell For the lovey-dovey month of February. I hope you've enjoyed these as much as I enjoyed watching them and talking about them. Let me know what you think. Let me know what some of your favorite rom-coms are. You can post in the comments. You can send an email to mystreamingbubble@gmail.com. And then also make sure when you got the internets up there, just go ahead and search My Streaming Bubble and I should pop on up there for you. And then you can follow and support, like, share, review, all of that good stuff for the podcast. And then you can do all those same things for the monthly podcast that I co-host with Aaron from It's a Fandom Thing, where we test our twinningness by guessing how the other feels about different movies. Horror movies, actually. You can also give us a search there on the old Googs or Yahoo or Ask Jeeves, whatever, and you'll be able to find and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, and on your favorite podcast player. So until next time, my lovely bubblies, thank you so much for listening and keep streaming. Goodbye. If you're enjoying this podcast, be sure to let me know by rating and reviewing on a podcast player near you, and by sharing your favorite episodes with your friends, family, and mail carrier. Then be sure to follow me on all your favorite socials like Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky. Just search My Streaming Bubble and I should pop on up there for ya. If you have suggestions on what I should stream in my bubble next, or you want to be tolerated, send an email to mystreamingbubble@gmail.com. Looking for merch? Stop by my Redbubble store where you can find and buy My Streaming Bubble stickers, hats, shirts, and more. You can also head over to buymeacoffee.com and, well, buy me a coffee. Need more podcast me in your life? Then be sure to check out my other podcast, Twin It to Win It. That's a monthly podcast that I co-host with my podcast brain twin, Erin from It's a Fandom Thing, where we test our twinningness by trying to guess if we both feel the same way about different horror movies. You can find and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky. And most importantly, you can listen, rate, review, and share from most podcast players. Thank you for your support, and keep streaming. Goodbye.